Hello friends and welcome to my channel. It's the beginning of the month and time to check out Spellbinders Clubs of the Month. I'll be starting off with the BetterPress of the Month, Paint the Town. This is a registration press plate set and it is fabulous. This set comes with 4 different styles of brush strokes, the accompanying registration template, a main sentiment, and 3 supporting ones. There are also dies for the sentiments. For the supporting sentiments, they are pressed all at once and cut all at once. When the acetate registration template has a lot going on, I find it easier if I place some white cardstock underneath it before taping it to the platform. Each style of brushstroke has its own color code on the registration template, and they overlap one another, so having it underneath the white cardstock just makes it so much easier to see them. These backgrounds are super easy to make, and it is so much fun if you love playing with color like I do. The 4 press plates are being laid out spaced apart. They're all going to be done up in the same color. After I'm finished with this first pressing, the subsequent pressings will have different color tones. They are being spaced out so that I can ensure that no one color is going to be concentrated on a particular area. I'm going to be working with fresh dye inks. What I have found when you're placing ink onto the press plates, if it leaves any kind of modeling, that is going to show up in the pressing. I begin by tapping with a slight twisting motion at the end as I first apply the ink. And then when I've got good coverage, I'll take the ink pad and just pull it across so that I have a nice consistent application of ink. Each of the 3 pressings, I'll use a gradient of inks. For this first one, I'm using the lightest tone, Dewdrop. Backgrounds are being created on Pebbles BetterPress paper. The brush strokes look so pretty on this soft gray paper. The paper is thick and soft and leaves a beautiful impression after the pressings. I'm just rearranging the plates, and for the next 2 pressings, I will only be doing 3 at a time. Because the inks are being applied lightest to darkest, I don't have to clean them off between inkings. I'm moving on to my mid-tone, and this one is called Aqualicious. Because this is such a juicy ink pad, I've skipped out the tap and twist motion, and I'm just sliding the pad across the press plates. And you can really start seeing this background come together. Again, the plates are rearranged, swapping out one for a plate that wasn't used the last time. This will be the final pressing, and I'll be using my darkest ink, and it is called Teal Cave, a really beautiful rich color. And I'll go back to my usual method of applying the ink with doing some tapping and twisting, and then finishing off by pulling the ink straight across the press plate so it has a nice consistent layer of ink. And after the ink has been applied, then I'm just going to go in and make sure that all of the plates are aligned to the template. And I managed to get some ink onto the template, so I'm just going to take a baby wipe and remove it. I don't want to take any chances that it may transfer onto the background. And this is the final result, and I think it looks fabulous. The panel is going to be trimmed down to 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. I'm going to take a bit off of each of the 4 sides. The panel is centered onto an A2 sized black card base. This will give a nice black border to make those brush strokes really pop. I mentioned earlier that the secondary sentiments are pressed and cut all at the same time. Both the main and the secondary sentiments were inked with BetterPress black ink and pressed onto that gray pebbles cardstock. The dies were used not only to cut the sentiments, but also black sheet foam, so the sentiments could be stacked and help them really stand out on that background. This is the second panel that I did for the BetterPress of the Month Club, and it's done in pretty pinks with pops of black. For this panel, lightest to darkest, I use strawberry, dusty pink, and blush rose. For those bold black brush strokes, I use the BetterPress black ink. I also mentioned earlier that I created these fun backgrounds for the small die of the month. Those color combinations will be reviewed in that video. Now back to this card. The secondary sentiment is stacked just like the main sentiment and adhered right below it. The sentiment on the pink card is highlighted with pink opalescent sequins. For the other card, I'll be using teal opalescent sequins. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you'll know what's coming next. On goes the Nouveau Crystal Drops Morning Dew. And I'm getting down to the last of it in that bottle and having to shake it down. As you might expect, I keep several bottles on hand. That wraps up these cards featuring Spellbinders BetterPress of the Month. Paint the Town is a really fun registration press plate set. I love these backgrounds. They're so versatile. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I appreciate your visit.